Yes, when you look at the results, they certainly have had a strong increase in electricity earnings this year. I think it's best to actually look at the earnings over a 2 to 3 year period, and there's a specific reason for that. We incurred very high input costs. By that I mean gas and coal costs in the second half of the 2022 year, and that gets recovered not until July 23. So if you looked at our electricity earnings last year, they were much, much lower, and we're benefiting from some of that recovery now. If you look forward to next year, the same input costs are lower, and we are expecting to see those wholesale forward electricity costs coming off in July. But that's one of the key drivers of our earnings increase this year.
Your gross electricity profit went from $39 million in half year 23 to $950 million in half year 24. How do you square that with the cost of living crisis?
Well, the gross profit increase in electricity is largely due to the recovery of those costs that we are now getting this year that we incurred last year. And that's what drove such a low profit last year and why you get this strong rebound this year. And then when you look next year, it's expected to actually abate again. And so we are seeing that lead and lag of recovery of costs through prices. It did, however, obviously drive prices up for consumers, and that's a very considerate concern for us that we actually have to focus on, because providing support to our customers is paramount to our purpose.
Well, the country's biggest coal generator, the Eraring plant in the Hunter in New South Wales, had plans to close in August next year. But I believe you're still in talks with the New South Wales government on this closure date. How fluid is the discussion, and when will you firm a closure date?
Yeah, we're in active discussions with the New South Wales government. I can say it's active, constructive and timely, but we're also under confidentiality obligations that we respect, both the government and ourselves. We're continuing to those discussions, and we'll bring them to a conclusion as soon as possible, but I can't give you a definitive date. All I can say is that they're constructive, and we're working well with the government to try and bring that to a conclusion.
Well, on another big issue in the reporting period, there was a failed bid by the Brookfield consortium to take Origin private, essentially. It had planned to spend billions of dollars to accelerate Origin's green transition. Now that you're going it alone, will Origin's green transition be as fast as it would have if it was backed by Brookfield?
Origin launched a strategy in 2022 to invest in renewables and storage, and set out a goal of investing in 4 gigawatts of battery storage and renewables by 2030. When the Brookfield bid came about, they actually set an ambition of 14 gigawatts. So both of those are ambitious, but clearly our strategy didn't have it going as far as Brookfield. We're reviewing that now, but the starting point is we would continue to focus on that 4 gigawatts by 2030. We don't lack ambition as an organisation. I don't think we could ever do the 14 gigawatts that Brookfield could fund. But we're just looking at that right now, and I'd start with a view that it's going to be 4 gigawatts and potentially more.
With regard to the green transition for Origin post the failed bid from the Brookfield-led consortium, have you been in talks with Australian Super, the biggest opponent to the deal, regarding putting up extra cash?
I met with Australian Super soon after the bid process, and I would expect to engage with them after these results as well. I've had no discussions with Australian Super about any alternative forms of funding into the transition. I'm open to that, should that opportunity arise, but that's not something we've discussed at any length now.
And you've been at the helm of Origin since October 2016. How many more profit results can we expect you to deliver?
Oh, I'm very much enjoying my role as Chief Executive of Origin, and I don't have any other plans at the moment, so very much committed to the job, but thank you for asking.
Frank Calabria, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Alicia.